everybody, this is James,
Nabil,
and Mikey.
And welcome back to the Movie Pals Podcast. This is episode 210, and today we are starting a new segment titled The Pals' Favorite Films of the Century, followed by a review of an early release, limited release, I guess you can call it, the new Guillermo del Toro film, Frankenstein. Let's get into it.
welcome everybody to our new segment for really the rest of the year called Pal's Favorite Films of the Century. So, I know it's hard to believe we're already a quarter of the way through the 21st century. That's 25 years of movies since the turn of the millennium. To celebrate, we're kicking off a brand new segment called The Pals' Favorite Films of the Century. So, what we're going to do here is over the next 5 episodes, we're going to each share our top 5 favorite films from a different 5-year stretch. So, like, for example, starting with 2000 to 2004 for this spot. Each of us will count down our list from 5 to 1. And for our top pick, we'll share why it stands out as our favorite film of the era. We'll also throw in a couple of honorable mentions, too, because there's just so many films to choose from. And so by the time we wrap this up, we'll be ready for our annual tradition that starts in next year, of course, our top 10 films of 2025 to kick off the new year. So how this is going to work is we're really just going to go, we've had the boys get together and look through each 5-year span, so starting with this 2000-2004, and go through the hundreds of films.
There was quite a few, Nabil. And by the way, Nabil's hosting this because this was Nabil's idea.
Yeah,
So
I thought it was a good time for us to kind of review the last 25 years of film, considering that it's 2025 and we'll be coming up to that whole quarter of century. So, you know, it's a lot of films to go through, and there's a lot of good films that we've seen. And I know we review films all the time, but we just don't get a chance to really talk about our favorite films. So it's not really like the best film is what we're looking at. We're looking at what we think is our favorite films from those years. Mm-hmm. And as we were kind of going through it, really, we're just trying to get an idea of like what really brought us to saying that this film was something that was worth remembering. Now, if we did it every year, we went to 2000 and then looked at 2001, this would have been a segment that had gone on for quite a few pods, well, 25 pods, really. So quite some time.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to I don't think everybody wanted to run through that list and try to figure that out. So we thought that this was kind of the best way to
would have been easier, though. I will say that much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because each year I was like, challenge. I could have made a top 10 out of this, probably, honestly.
Well, we also have already done that for a lot of the years, right? So, because we do our yearly.
I mean, the last 8, not the last 25. I mean,
right.
Unless you've been making a list since you were like a child.
You guys don't do that? Pocket.
Mikey said, "This is my dream book right here."
He said, 1992 was a good year.
Yeah.
So we're just going to really run through this all. But before we do, I just wanted to get everybody's take a little bit. Like, how did it feel just this first 5 years that we went through, looking at the list of films and trying to put this list together? I'm gonna start with you, James, just to get your take. Like, how did that feel to you? What was your process going into it?
It was pretty long, I won't lie, because I went off the Wikipedia pages of like releases per year. And I basically just started my initial list was like anything I thought was good, I just threw it on the list, right? So then that soon became a monster list. And then I went down, even though theoretically we don't have to choose one from each year, I still tried to do one from each year. I was telling Mikey this the other day. So like I still have choices. All my choices are one from each year, basically. And then ultimately one is from the year. You'll see in a moment here. And it was really that. I mean, I had to cut a lot of movies that I really liked. So it was kind of hard, even though, like you said, it's 5 plus 2 honorable mentions. It was, it's kind of like, it's like, here's all your favorites. But like, then I had to be like, but maybe I want to change up the genres a little bit, make it a little, I could have done like probably 5 comedies, honestly, in that time period, especially early 2000s still.
There's some good comedies those years, for sure.
But that was it, pretty much. It was tough, but it was fun. So,
yeah. How about you, Mikey? What were your thoughts behind this?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of echo what James did. I mean, I made a huge list of just movies that were there and just kind of narrowed them down, just went a couple passes through, and I ended up with like, I don't know, 15-ish movies, and it was like really hard to kind of narrow down the 5 or the 7 that we're going to talk about today here. But I kind of just went through and like, if someone was asking me like, what should I watch in this era, what would I recommend them watching?
Yeah.
And how much do I enjoy watching that again? So that's kind of the take I took for this kind of process.
Yeah, I took a similar take to you, Mikey. I went through it and I was like, as I was trying to narrow down my list, I was trying to figure out what do I still watch? Like, is there anything that I continually revisit all the time and say, like, you know what, this is really worth being on the list? Or is it even, like you said, something worth recommending to somebody to watch? Have I brought it up a lot and said, you should watch this, whether or not it maybe is the best film of that year? That, like, this, there's a film on here for sure that I know I've brought up quite a few times. And not everybody agrees it's a great film, but, you know, I enjoy it a lot. You know, it has some memories for me. So it's like, that's kind of what I was looking at it too. I also was kind of looking at the sequels, because there were a lot of sequels and like
Within that
trilogies
time
and things
period,
like that. Yeah, within that time period.
Yeah.
And so I was like, there's a few of them where I'm like, I could just make these like my top films for the whole year, but I felt like that would just really, you know, mess the flow with the films and like throw off everything else and, you know, take off other spots. So I kind of went through and said, okay, I love this franchise, but if I had to choose one, which one would I really want, and where would I rank that on there? So
You're kind of like keep
yeah.
it to one, maybe just to
give it to the one,
just to give it more variety. Kind of that's kind of what I did too.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're like Spider-Man 1 and 2. Which one do I like better?
You know, you got to put it on there. But yeah, it's fortunately, you know, Marco's not here, but fortunately, there was only one DC film that year, so I assume that his top number one pick, we can all just kind of assume will be Catwoman.
Catwoman, probably,
that five period, you know. So
we should have done what was the
time.
worst film from each year,
right? So yeah, let's just kind of. I'm going to start off. I'll go through my list and talk a little bit about which ones I picked, and then we'll kind of go through the rest of the pals as well.
And sounds good. And then you're open for us, like kind of chit chatting with you about it if we have questions, right?
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give my first honorable mention. This is a film that came out in 2003. The reason it's even on the list is because I constantly revisit this every year, and I think it's become my favorite Christmas movie of the year. And it is Elf, directed by Jon Favreau and actor Will Ferrell.
Christmas with the Cranks. Shit.
Love me some Tim Allen, you know. Will Ferrell is hilarious in this film. James Caan is hilarious in this film. And it's just, every year I watch it and I find myself like cracking up, and I think it's like a good kind of wholesome film. And so I felt like it's something that has to make the list because of just the fact that I'm always seeing it every year constantly. Like it's always there now. And when it's on during the holidays, I'm sitting down watching it.
It was one of my favorite Christmas movies as well. So
is it?
It almost made my list.
It's grown on me more because it wasn't my favorite when it first came out. But I think over the years, seeing it more and more, it's essentially become my go-to.
Oh, that's cool.
So my other honorable mention is a film that came out in 2000, and it's a film has a lot of childhood memories I affiliate with during a certain period of my life. So it's not probably surprising to James to hear that Billy Elliot is on my list, directed by Stephen Daldry and starring Jamie Bell. I had James watch this. I had the honor
of watching that one a couple years ago.
He did. And he, he thought it was one of his best films ever, except for he gave it like a 3.5. There are a lot of films.
I don't know. Did I say? I don't remember. Did I say it was probably okay?
Yeah, you said it was fine. It was a good film. Yeah,
just kind of. It's pretty unique.
It's a unique film. I think it's like, James, you kind of connect a lot with coming of age films. I think that was like one of my kind of coming of age films as a kid. Seeing
it's not
a lot.
Yeah, it's not a bad watch. I think maybe at the time I even remember this, like maybe because I had never seen it when it first came out. I didn't really have the nostalgia for it like you do.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well, he's dancing, Mikey. I'll tell you that much.
Great film. Great film.
I'll tell you right now, he's dancing.
And you never see Jamie Bell again, although he tried. Going into my top 5, so we're going reverse order, 5 to 1. My number 5 pick, it was a hard one to kind of jump around and choose where I settled on it, but this one came out in 2000 and probably one of the best period pieces out there. It's Gladiator, directed by Ridley Scott, starring Russell Crowe, and we just watched it not too long ago too because of Gladiator 2 coming out last year.
I wouldn't know. You weren't on that episode, Nabil.
I was not on the episode. I know
that was a 2-person one, wasn't it? Just me and James.
Yeah. The pals talked about it in the pod, and they've said a lot of great things about it, and it's a almost damn near perfect film. Let's to be honest, especially for like what it is. Like it's Everything's great in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 pick, a film that came out in 2004, took a little twist on the horror genre. Shaun of the Dead, directed by Edgar Wright, and
Oh,
starring
nice.
Simon Pegg. Yeah,
It's a
that's
fun
another
one.
film. Yeah, I always kind of go back to. I remember it was my real first time getting into a film that was like, because I've never been really big into horror, but going into something that was both had really good aspects of horror, but also was just hilarious the whole time. And so it also English. So I was really in the early 2000s really big into English films, as you can imagine. I talk about all the time. So a lot of British stuff. So this is one of the films that really got me into a lot of the British comedy. All right, we're going to my number 3 pick. Probably my second favorite film of this director. This came out in 2003. This is Kill Bill Volume 1, directed by Quentin Tarantino and starring Uma Thurman. Just
Nice.
all the callbacks to all the 70s films, all the animes, all the old samurai films. Just like he's got the visuals great. There's a bit of animation in there. There's just like
Mm-hmm.
cool sword planes. Uma Thurman looks super cool. Lucy Liu looks cool. Vivica Fox looks cool. Like everybody is just like style in that film. The action scenes are bloody enough, fun to watch. The epic sword fights. It's a fun watch every time. Also, still kind of hard to watch sometimes, especially the animated part where they get a bit brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie though.
Still
Yeah,
a great
it's
movie.
awesome.
Another one I didn't see in theaters though. That came out when I was like a sophomore, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I
don't
think so.
know if I saw that.
Sophomore,
I saw this in
junior, maybe.
theaters. Yeah, I would have been.
I saw that after. I
2003.
didn't see either one of the Kill Bills in theaters.
I saw Kill Bill 2 on DVD. Unfortunately, I knew I couldn't make it to the movie at the time, but I did see the first one in theaters.
Nice.
My number 2 pick is basically what all my favorite. It kind of embodies all my favorite kind of action spy films. It's 2002's The Bourne Identity, directed by Doug Liman, starring Matt Damon. I mean, it's got the European feel. It's not really James Bond, but it's got kind of that spy aspect of it. He's not necessarily cool, but he's stylish in the fighting scenes. It's really kind of the precursor to what we ended up getting with John Wick, with the kind of gun fu. So that fighting style is really cool. I think it's also one of the first. I don't know if it's the first one. I think it's the first action film that we saw Matt Damon in, like core action film that he was in, which made him also seem
I
pretty
think
cool.
so.
Yeah.
Another one I didn't see in theaters. We bought it on DVD. I remember we owned that one. I remember it was cool because of the kind of the chase scenes too in there.
Yeah, the car chase scene is very European feel. I mean, they are in Europe, but it's also just the way it's shot.
Isn't it like an old school Mini Cooper in that one? I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you're going through the little alley.
and it's and the one, I think the person in there didn't know how to drive stick, and so he had to kind of change over and drive. So it was a funny little thing too. There's enough like dry humor in it, but it's also,
I mean, it's a
being
pretty serious story though.
It's a pretty serious film. Yeah. All right, and going to my number 1 pick, and we've kind of already hinted to it quite a bit, I think, throughout this whole thing, but mostly just because there are so many films to pick from this franchise, but I just had to pick my favorite one. Yeah. Yeah. It's the film Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. Came out in 2002, of course, directed by Peter Jackson and starring a whole bunch of people, like Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Viggo Mortensen, Orlando Bloom. Everybody who was big in the 2000s and onwards is in this film. And it was hard to pick between like Return of the King, The Two Towers, and The Fellowship of the Ring. But just to kind of give you a bit of synopsis for those that don't know, which if you've been listening to this podcast, I hope you've seen Lord of the Rings, all of them.
I mean, we've done a pretty big.
Yeah, we did a marathon, right?
We did the extended editions. Like, we've gone through this, guys. But
plus
for
the
those
Hobbit trilogy, I was like, hey, maybe check them out. I don't know.
Yeah, really, really hammering that in that you should watch these films. General synopsis: this is a sequel to Fellowship of the Ring, where basically the characters Frodo, he has his fellowship. They're going to destroy the One Ring, but Frodo and his buddy Sam discover they're being just followed by Gollum and Aragorn. An archer named Legolas and Gimli the dwarf go to Rohan, which is a kingdom where there was a great king named Theoden who's fallen under the wizard Saruman's deadly spell. And that's just a briefest synopsis I can give you on that. So, and it just kind of picks up from them with their journey with the ring.
Yeah.
So,
Did you rewatch the normal one or the director's cut?
I didn't have enough time to watch the extended edition, so I did watch the normal one.
Well, theoretically, you watched the one that came out that year, so that makes sense,
yes.
right?
Yeah, I watched the original.
Oh, I never
one.
thought about that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because all the director cuts came out a year after, right before the next one would come out.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you're okay.
Yeah, came in time. From the get of this film, the opening sequence of this film is showing Gandalf, who, spoiler alert again if you hadn't seen him, looks like he dies at the first film. And
The
this
Balrog
opens
got
with
him.
this is him fighting that Balrog. He's going down into the depths of no one knows where and comes up
It's the Mines of
destroying
Moria.
fighting
Theoretically,
Balrog,
right?
like destroying.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is the Mines of Moria. Yeah, he's going to the depths of it, and that scene is so epic. Just you walking into the movie. Then you as the film progresses, you're seeing what happens at the end of the last film, which is like the breaking of the Fellowship. They have to kind of go their own way for reasons, and you have the first time of seeing these Ents on screen. These big old trees walking around is really cool. You've got Gandalf, who does come back as Gandalf the White, which is a great sequence of him kind of just showing up out of nowhere. You have the friendship growing between Gimli, Aragorn, and Legolas. That dynamic is built much stronger, and it's a fun watch to see them on screen together. And then you, of course, see the friendship with Frodo and Sam being tested throughout this film because they have Gollum that comes in, and you're not sure what Gollum's intentions are, specifically with Frodo, if he's friends with him or not. And then, the famous line of Sam fighting with Gollum to talk to him about potatoes, you could just
You
Put 'em
boil
in
them,
the
mash
stew?
them, put them in stew.
put him in the stew. So, I mean, that's fun. But then, like, the biggest part of this whole thing for me that just is just always the returning point for me is the battle for Helm's Deep. The way they kind of build up the tension to get to that scene, to like going into Rohan to save King Theoden from Saruman's spell, and Gandalf doing a little bit of magic to kind of cure him from that, and then seeing the dynamic between essentially like the two kings, right? King Theoden, who has been a leader, and then Aragorn, who essentially is the actual heir, and seeing their dynamics play off of each other. But all that going into that battle and that whole that sequence is like 40 minutes, I think, or something. It's one of the best, if not the best, battle ever put on screen. And even to this day, I'll go back and sometimes I'll just watch the film just to get to that scene, just so I can see that play out, because it's just an epic thing that captures your attention the whole time from start to finish up until the end, where kind of Gandalf comes and saves him when he, as they say, a wizard comes when he's supposed to. So he was there to save the day. It's just
That's what they say.
Of all the films, they're all great and they all have the wonderful things to bring to it. But I feel like this film just is a great sequel. It bridges everything together. It moves the story forward in the right way, and it has just enough of like the epicness of the different scenes between the different battles, the different areas that they're in. It feels like you really get to know the characters more in this film. So all that happens where you get to the Return of the King, you kind of like feel everything that happens is earned. Like there is a reason for this playing out the way it did, and you really feel invested into it. And I think the Fellowship makes you understand where they're coming from, but the Two Towers really tells you why they're together and why they're important to the story. That makes you then feel the payoff at the end of the trilogy. So yeah, it's definitely for me just one of the best films that came out during those 5 years, and I still kind of go back and watch it as often as I can.
Yeah, that's a great pick, man. That's definitely, I remember there's so much buzz when they came. Did you read the books?
I have not. I have them. I just haven't
Yeah.
read them yet.
Good books too, by the way, if you're ever looking for something fun to read.
Yeah.
Easy to read too. But especially Two Towers when it came out. I remember like the game came out at the same time. That game was so fun.
Yeah, the game was good too.
Play it with people, and it was just one of those things where just there's so much of this craze for Lord of the Rings during that time. That's really when a lot of that kind of fantasy stuff really, you kind of got a boost from it. That and Harry Potter at the same time.
Harry Potter.
Yeah,
So,
same.
Yeah. So.
Man, what a decade,
What
or
a
what
rush.
a era of fantasy
Yeah.
films, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my 7 for the 5 years of films. We're gonna jump to you, James. Let's start with you next and hear your list.
Okay, got some big shoes to fill after Nabil's there.
Really
So,
gotta top
I'll
Billy Elliot.
Yeah, I'll try. My first honorable mention is going to be Dodgeball, a true underdog story. So that one came out in 2004, directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. It was really a tie between this and like Anchorman because those
Yeah.
both came out in the same summer. And I remember at the time I was a big Final Fantasy 11 player, and my brother and me, and we met up with a bunch of my friends from school that were playing it during summertime. And back then I used to never see anybody during summertime. I would just run into my hole and just come back when school started, basically. So it was kind of cool that we all went to go see this movie together. That's the biggest thing I remember. And this is one of the most quotable films, along with Anchorman. That's why I was like, I had to choose one. I was like, I don't want to put too many damn comedies on there. But for me, Dodgeball has kind of a special place, especially because there was no sequels to it. It was kind of a one-off. But I think Ben Stiller's hilarious. I think Vince Vaughn has that deadpan humor that just works. So honorable mention there. So.
And these comedies work better with the big group too, so that kind of
They
affects a lot of stuff.
Oh, 100%, dude. And
Yeah.
I just have a good memory from it. My other honorable mention is actually from 2004 as well. It is the movie Troy, directed by Wolfgang Peterson.
Oh, nice.
I went and saw this with the Latin club during high school. So remember that quite fondly, going to see this one. And I think Brad Pitt is amazing in this movie. There is not a cooler, badass person playing Achilles than him in this film. It is one of those movies where he really embodies the character. Because I mean, I like you guys have known, I've actually read the Iliad and the Odyssey in Latin, for God's sakes, and it's not something to take lightly. And the stories of Achilles and all the things he did are just brutal, man. And I think this movie, even though a lot of people like, not everyone's favorite one, I thought it's a great popcorn flick. I think it's one of those things.
Scene where they showed in the trailer at the time where he's jumping with the sword and he just kind
Like
of
the very
goes
opening
in and
scene?
out.
Yeah.
So dope. It's still just like super cool to see on screen every single time.
I think his fight with Hector as well is just really awesome because it just kind of, that's such like how it plays out too in the original story, and it's just shows you how skilled of a warrior he was. And overall, though, that's a movie that I like to revisit a lot. I feel like a lot of people kind of forgot about it, but I think it's awesome. Getting into my top 5 then. So these all had some meaning behind them. So I had to jump in. I was like, let's get crazy here. My number 5 film is Star Wars Episode 2: Attack of the Clones. So I'm a big prequel guy. There's no way I wasn't going to include this on there. Directed by George Lucas, GL, a boy. So I mean, people are like, oh, everybody has like fond memory. Now they have fond memories to the prequel series. I'm like, I always did. So I don't know. It's just not the greatest film. It's more quotable because of how corny it is. But
yeah,
I think it's one of those movies though that it has a lot of repercussions for a lot of story later on in life for the Star Wars stuff. If you're looking at canon events too. First fully like CGI movie too. First time you see CG Yoda. I remember I actually read the book right before I saw it, so I knew everything that was going to happen already. So,
spoiler alert for yourself.
Yeah, my parents picked me up and they had the book for me in the back. I remember, and it was the Jango Fett cover, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" I think I read it like the same day, dude. Like the whole book, the novelization, and I was just like, "I'm ready." So great times. I wish a Star Wars movie made me feel like that nowadays. To tell you the truth. My number 4 movie is a movie that came out in 2003. It is Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, directed by Gore Verbinski. This one has a personal meaning for me. This is the last movie I ever saw with my brother before he passed away. This is the last movie I got to see with him in theaters, so it always holds kind of a special place in my heart, regardless of how much Captain Jack be flip-flopping. But I think, honestly, Johnny Depp does a great job as Captain Jack Sparrow. I think it's one of those iconic roles. I can't really imagine anyone else doing it.
Yeah.
And for a movie that's based on a Disneyland ride, it's pretty awesome that it has this much kind of, I don't know, there's a feel to this movie every time I see it. It has that kind of swashbuckling thing. Like you get Orlando Bloom, fresh off Lord of the Rings. You know, he was just like, hey, look at it. Now I'm going to do something else, you know? And it just works for me, man. Overall, I have a lot of fun every time I watch these. I always feel like that first one is probably the best one, honestly, in my opinion. Because it's before they
feels the most like pirate
complete in a way. Before they start going off the edge, like, well, what if there's more to it? I'm like, I don't know if I need it anymore. But
like, I don't need to know the rest of the world. I was fine with what we saw. Yeah.
Well, how about 5 of them? Right? So,
oh gosh, yeah, it went on forever.
A lot of fun. I think it was one of those movies too that it was more surprising how much I liked it. Good mix of action, good mix of romance. I think it's like one of those fun, like it's a pirate film. That's when pirates came back briefly. Remember, guys, in 2003?
They tried.
for like a good 4-year stretch.
I think that movie, yeah, I mean, I think it really has like a blend of like all genres, really. Like,
A little horror, remember?
yeah, it's got a little bit of
Skeletons?
everything, and it kind of works, even though it's got a little bit of everything. So it's kind of nice.
Yeah. All right. My number 3 film is another comedy. Came out in 2002. You know I couldn't leave this one out, guys. It's Kung Pao Enter the Fist, directed by Steve Odenkirk. Maybe the most quoted movie of my entire life. Talked about it before. I mean, 23 years later, still holds up. Still laugh my butt off over this. It's beyond it was made on $10 budget from the look of it too, but I mean, something about it, man. I just, when he punches the guy in the stomach, he's like, oh my God, his stomach thingy came out, Dancing with the desert animals or taking the intermission to go get ices, stuff like that.
I find more joy in this pick, in this film, knowing how much it brings you joy. Because every time we talk about it, you were like, I can see your eyes just light up and are dying on the inside of the
Oh yeah, no, I love that. I love that movie
every single time.
I remember we saw it for my brother's birthday, like I talked about before. My dad took us, and we took some friends, and we were just dying. And my dad was like, "What have I done?" My number 2 pick actually is something that was on Nabil's list. Is Gladiator from 2000 from Ridley Scott. So
yeah.
I remember I was really into that Roman and Greek stuff back then, man. As you can tell from my picks, it just really worked for me, guys. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I'm one of those guys that thinks about the Roman Empire twice a day, by the sound of it. So I just remember this was like epic. My dad took us to see it. He wanted to see it. We saw it. We didn't see it when it first came out. Probably a couple weeks after when it had all. And then, man, it was just what a movie, man. I remember at the time, I think that was the longest movie I'd ever seen in a movie theater. My number 1 film, it's probably not going to come to any surprise to anybody, but I didn't choose the Two Towers, though. I chose 2001, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, directed by Peter Jackson.
Okay. Nice.
Mostly because I didn't want to start a second film in the middle of it, because then I'd feel obligated to finish it out. So, and honestly, I didn't realize even the theatrical run of this movie is 2 hours and 51 minutes long. So I had to watch this mostly on my phone while driving, by the way. I don't know if that's safe or not, but I just want to let everybody know.
Don't worry, cops. He was a good driver.
Watched it at work, watched it on the way back from work, watched it when I was stuck in traffic for 2.5 hours. I mean, it kind of worked, honestly. Because I would look down like, oh, I got 10 minutes left. Look at that. Watched most of it here waiting in traffic.
It's not like you haven't seen him before anyways, right?
That's my whole purpose was I know, but dude, even doing it this way, I still I don't know why. I don't know. I've been probably emotional. I've been to a couple funerals the last couple weeks here, but I don't know. I teared up a couple times watching this son of a bitch this time, guys.
It gets you, man.
Dude,
just touch it.
When they decide to Frodo's going to take it, I started tearing up. I was like, oh God. He's like, you got my sword. And I was like, oh, man, why I got goosebumps?
And my axe.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Or even when, Bilbo's, talking to him in Rivendell. I don't know why this time around it just got to me a little bit.
Yeah.
When he's just, he realizes he's getting older now. Because the ring doesn't have the power with him anymore. And I was like, oh, how sad, That's probably from, current events for me, honestly. This hit me a little harder. But
sure.
I just liked it a lot. Even the action sequences, the mute when they're coming up that fucking mountain and they're just showing it's like the glory shot of everybody just going through. It's this. I remember seeing the trailers for this, and I didn't know what the Lord of the Rings was, and my dad had told me it was a book series, and it was a trailer. It might have been during fucking Gladiator, honestly, because I remember they were showing trailers for this movie a year in advance because they've been working on it for a while, and this was a big deal. Right. And I remember they announced on the first trailer that all 3 were coming out back-to-back years in that first trailer. They're telling you Christmas of 2001, Christmas 2002, Christmas 2003. I was like, my God. So I read the first book right before the first movie. Before I saw the first movie, I remember that's the last movie too. My mom does not go to the movie theaters. That's the only movie I've ever seen with my mom, or that's the last one I saw with my mom in a movie theater is The Fellowship of the Ring. So that's why I also picked it too. So almost got her to go to a movie earlier this year, but it didn't happen. So I'll get her eventually, hopefully. But yeah, great. I love Elijah Wood's characterization of Frodo Baggins. I think his relationship with everyone else too. It's such a strange friendship, actually. No, but it's fun to see, and it's nice to see that it's it's a very it's a dark story, but it still has a lot of hope, which I really like. Like the scene where he's going away too. He knows he has to leave, And even when Boromir was dying, man, I was like tearing up. I was like, what is wrong with me? Which, by the way, doesn't happen until the Two Towers in the books originally, by the way. That's the beginning of the Two Towers, is that last sequence.
That last part. Yeah.
So it was not, because he's like, hey, sorry that he's like, I would have went with you the whole way. And I was like, oh, God. I was like, why am I a mess watching the Fellowship of the Ring? I was like, I can't watch anything anymore. Good God. But yeah, great movie. I don't think I tried to watch it with my nieces before, but I think we started too late and everyone knocked out. I watched about the first 10 minutes with Jenny too before she knocked out too. I think I got to rewatch it just to be like, you have to watch these.
I had my wife watch them for the first time a few years back. I think when we were doing the Hobbit trilogy.
Probably when we did the thing back in, we did in 22. So
yeah, and she had never seen them before. She heard about them and she had never seen them, and now she loves them. Like she's like, I didn't think I'd like these films, but now she's like, she hankers sometimes while watching films. She's like, you want to just watch Lord of the Rings? And I was like, yeah, she loves those films now.
All right, but yeah, those are my picks.
Nice.
That's my top film. I mean, obviously, it was one of those things where I could have chose any of them, but I was like, I have literally 2 days to watch of this movie. I was like, I'm gonna have to pull some stunts here. So, but yeah, overall,
Great.
fun time. I thought that's how I know it's good too, Nabil, because I thought I was gonna dread rewatching it, and then as I watched it, I said, damn, this movie's good. So
yeah, I think that's exactly it. And again, we go back to saying like this is our favorite films, right? So being able to just watch it and feel like, oh yeah, I could just keep watching this over and over again.
Cool.
Well, great. That's what I think. You've got some solid picks here, James. Let's go to you, Mikey, and have you round it all off for us.
Alrighty. So my first honorable mention is a movie from 2003 called X2, X-Men United.
I love
this
that
one's
movie.
directed by Bryan Singer, Patrick Stewart, Hugh Jackman, among many other people. There's a ton of people in this one here too. I just think it's a really fun movie. This is one of those weird ones where I know we're saying there's a lot of sequels in this like kind of era, but this is like better than the first one in my opinion. I like this one better than just a regular X-Men movie.
I do
the
too.
X-Men movie is good
Agreed.
too, but this one's just better overall, better storyline. You get a lot of character development. You get to see Dark Phoenix at some point. So it's kind of like to an extent, right?
I was like, kind of. It's more than the next
but-
one. We
but
don't
it's
talk
just
about
a
that
fun
one, though.
movie overall. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So just a fun movie, and it's a superhero movie, which I do have one more on this thing, which is why this is an honorable mention. So my second honorable mention is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Great movie, man.
Nice.
Because I was kind of approaching this as like, can I recommend this for people? I feel like this one's not as recommendable as some of the other ones on my list here, which is why it's an honorable mention. I love this movie, 2003, directed by Ang Lee, Chow Yun-fat, Michelle Yeoh, Zhang Ziyi. And it's my first approach to the wuxia. I think that's how you say it. Martial arts type style films. And this one's got a little bit of everything. It's got, love story and everything like that. So it's just got a nice mixture of story, characters, and martial arts. You just can't go wrong with it. And it is quite long, which is another reason why it's not really super approachable by everybody. So
I think it
that's
was
why it's
one of
honorable
those
mention.
first like foreign films I remember early on that really kind of triggered a lot of this. Because I remember this was like a big deal when it first came out, man.
Yeah.
And like we rented this one too. I didn't see it in theaters, but and then like this is when like what was it, like Iron Monkey came out right afterwards too, I think.
Yeah,
and a
House of the
bunch
Flying
of-
Daggers as well.
Yeah,
was
a
like right
bunch
around the
of them
same era.
came out after this. I think people started warming up a little bit more to like either reading subtitles, but I feel like a lot of people watch this one dubbed too.
Yeah,
So.
maybe.
Yeah.
I've actually never seen the dub version, so might be
I remember
interesting
they
if
would
I watch
have
that
it.
way.
They had. I'm pretty sure the first time I saw it was dubbed, because I remember at Hollywood Video they had like different, like it said, like dubbed on it. I think. So you'd be
Yeah,
like,
it had
don't
that
worry,
little sticker.
you don't got to read nothing. Don't worry. We were ignorant back in 2003.
I mean, some of us still are.
Yeah, I know, Nabil. He's like, some might say they prefer it that way.
So moving on to my top 5. This is one that James mentioned as well. Is Troy, 2004,
Nice.
Wolfgang Peterson,
Very cool.
Brad Pitt. Like you said, Brad Pitt's amazing in this. Just Achilles in general, like the way he's like punking the kings, like talking to him like, "You're not my king," and he like walks away. It's
That's
like,
how he is, man. He gets on
it's
that
just
beach
crazy.
and he's like, I'm gonna
Yep.
keep my own. I'm not gonna fight until I want to.
and I just like how this one has like super like epic large scale battles as well as like one-on-one, like I consider them like boss fights, right? From like the video games. You're not taking
Yeah.
on a million people. You're just one-on-one focused, and everything is like the choreography in all the battles, whether it be a large scale or a one-on-one, is just top notch. So you can't go wrong with them. So it's got a little something for everybody. And I watched the director's cut this time. I've never seen the director's cut before. I've always seen the original one. So it's kind of nice kind of seeing the contrast, the extra stuff here. I need to watch the original one again because I didn't know what was new and what was not. I don't remember. But either way, I enjoyed watching this over again. I haven't seen this one in a little bit, but I used to watch it all the time with, friends and family came over and stuff. So it's nice to kind of revisit it again.
If any movie needs a 4K restoration too, man, I would love one for Troy.
Oh, that
would be a day one buy for me, by the way. And that I got a feeling we're going to get one soon.
Number 4 on my list is a 2001 film called Training Day. This one's directed by Antoine Fuqua. Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke play inside of it. And I just think Denzel Washington's performance is absolutely insane in this one. He's a crazy character, and he just keeps you on edge. He makes sure that you have, like, the whole movie, the tension is thick. And you're just trying to think, like, where is this going to go? How far is he going to take this? And how far is he going to go? And what is Ethan Hawke going to do? And I think because of that tension and because of that whole thing, it just makes it like a really fun watch. Performances are great, so definitely something I can go to all the time. Yeah. Moving on. My third pick is a 2004 film called Spider-Man 2.
Ah, there we go. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that wasn't on yours, Nabil.
I was really struggling to put Spider-Man 2 on my list, but I was like, there's other films I'd rather watch, like, overall.
I remember seeing that one in theaters. That was a fun.
Mm-hmm.
My godfather took me to that annex too.
Yeah, this one, I actually watched Spider-Man 1 and 2 because I like both of them, and I wasn't sure which one I wanted to put on my list, so I watched them both.
I can't believe you rewatched all the movies, by the way, Mikey. You only had by the way, the rules, everybody, I don't know if Nabil said, you just got to rewatch the number 1 film.
I watched the top 15.
Oh my gosh.
So
I
just
really
wanted,
be sure.
I narrowed down my list by watching them again. So, yeah. So, yeah, I've been busy this month watching the horror movies and these, but it was worth it.
We had time. We did record the Tron one pretty late or early.
So this movie, Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, and I feel like it's one of the better superhero movies like ever. Like, it's just a really good one in my opinion. It really shows like the duality of him being Spider-Man and Peter Parker. He's got some like internal stuff he's going through. He loses his powers sometime in this film here, and he kind of goes through some personal stuff throughout it. So you get a little storyline, little character development as well. And obviously he gets the girl at the end, so that's always a nice thing here for Peter Parker. So just a great movie to watch, and I think anybody can kind of watch this and be pretty happy about it. Number 2 for me is already been mentioned as well by everybody. It's Gladiator.
Nice.
I kind of echo what everybody's already said about it. Great performances. It's Ridley Scott, Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix. It's just easy to connect with Russell Crowe's character. It's just an epic version of everything you think ancient Rome could be.
Yeah, I remember when my wife died. And my
I remember when my family was crucified in front of my house. I had to be sold into slavery.
No, but what I'm saying is not necessarily the same exact things happening to me, but he's got nothing and he's climbing up to get some stuff, right? To get his revenge. And I feel like anybody can kind of relate to that, right?
Yeah, Mikey's like, I too was sold into slavery, and I had to kill to get back to where I am now. I'm like, oh my God.
No, I'm just saying you have to fight back when something bad happens to you, and this movie kind of represents that.
I mean, it helps when you're a badass too, by the way.
Well, yeah, obviously. But yeah, no, everybody's already talked about this bunch, so I'm not going to leave it anymore. But yeah, I agree with everything everybody else has already said.
Oh,
it's just a fantastic
great
movie.
pick too, man. Yeah,
it's good.
And all of our number 1s are basically the same. I picked Fellowship of the Ring as well, like James did. I like all 3 of these. I really didn't know which one to put in here, but I figured if I'm going off of my theme of recommending a movie, I can't really recommend a 2 and a 3. So you kind of have to recommend the first one. Sure. So that's why I went with the first one here. But these are just my comfort films. I toss these on all the time. When we had Jill over with on the podcast for
Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch. So live action Lilo and Stitch. We had that was like our 200th episode or something like that, or one of those episodes here, and we talked about our favorite films of all time on that episode.
Oh, it was.
And this was my favorite film of all time, and I kind of mentioned there I got sick as a kid. I would just bundle up in some blankets and watch these movies. So I've seen these movies thousands of times, but I like this one also because it shows the Shire, because the adventure they take in 2 and 3. You get to see the hobbits like after they've kind of been corrupted and going through a lot of shit. And this kind of shows them the other aspect of their lives, how they lived. and it's kind of a nice contrast to how they end up in the end of the movie, or in the middle of the movie, I should say.
Those are all great picks, guys. So that was our top 5 plus 2 honorable mentions of our favorite films between 2000 and 2004. And our next pod will go through our picks for 2005 to 2009. So we're going to continue this on through the end of the year. But I'm hoping everybody's enjoying hearing this. And if you've also want to join in, let us know in our comments when you see the pod next, listen to the pod next, about what your favorite films were during that 5-year span.
All right, and on to our review of Frankenstein 2025.
I remember pieces, memories of different men. And I saw it. Your name. Victor.
This one's currently sitting at 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the synopsis is a brilliant but egotistical scientist brings a creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. This one is directed and written by Guillermo del Toro, who also did Pan's Labyrinth in 2006, Hellboy in 2004, and The Shape of Water in 2017. This one released in theaters on October 17th of 2025, limitedly, and it's coming to Netflix on November 7th, 2025. This is on a budget of $120 million and stars Oscar Isaac as Victor Frankenstein, Jacob Elordi as the creature, Mia Goth as Lady Elizabeth Harlander, Felix Kammerer as William Frankenstein, Lars Mikkelsen as Captain Anderson, Christoph Waltz as Henrik Harlander, Charles Dance as Baron Leopold Frankenstein, and David Bradley as the blind man. So to start things off here, let's kind of see some of the history you guys had with Frankenstein in general. Have you seen some of the other stories or any of the media adaptations of the same character? And we'll start with Nabil.
Have you seen The Munsters? I've seen The Munsters a lot.
Yeah, I've seen that Rob Zombie film. What about it?
Yeah, the Rob Zombie film. I mean, I don't... Have I seen the original, like, back in the was it 30s?
1931?
Yeah. Have I seen it? I want to say I have, or at least bits and pieces of it, but it would have been a long time ago. I don't have, like, a really strong connection to a lot of Frankenstein, except for literally The Munsters, I think, just because it was a comedy, but that wasn't really Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, more so than it was Frankenstein's monster just there.
You're like, that's definitely what they meant.
Yeah. So.
He's like living in life in the suburbs. I don't know.
Oh, what about you, James?
Yeah, I've seen the original 1931 film a couple years ago. I think probably during COVID. They re-released a lot of the Universal Monster stuff in 4K, so I saw that then. That was like a first-time watch. Obviously, I watched it like 90 years after the fact. But I thought it was
not
okay.
In the theaters.
No, although it is playing in the theaters this week right now at Regal. So,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big fan of the 1994 film, though. Just so you know, the one that Kenneth Branagh directed. So, for some odd reason, I watched that movie a lot as a kid. I think it was on the black box, probably. So, it was writing off that whole reigns of Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's why, originally Francis Ford Coppola was going to direct it too, but then he just produced it. And that movie's like universally kind of hated by everybody, honestly. I actually own it on 4K from Arrow Video, so that's how much I liked it. I picked it up. So I'm actually a pretty big fan of the stories themselves, but I know, for instance, that it's not very true to the story as much, but it's one of those movies that I still kind of have. I think nostalgia plays a pretty big factor in it. But I've never read any of the books or anything, or seen any of the other. I think I've seen Bride of Frankenstein as well, the original, but outside of that, nothing else. So
for me, I kind of echo what Nabil said. Actually, I've really only Frankenstein exposure I've really had is Abbott and Costello movies, which is not really the Frankenstein you probably know too well.
Definitely not.
I think I've seen the other ones, but it's been so long that I don't remember too much about them. So I don't really.
You guys
have
never
a lot
saw
of
the Mary
exposure to
Shelley
Frankenstein.
one?
I'm sure I've seen it. I just
with
never.
De Niro.
No,
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh one. I know of that film. I never watched it. It never looked interesting to me.
Oh, you should. I think you guys should check it out here, man.
Really?
Yeah, when you were talking about, after the movie of this one, we were talking about
Especially
some of the older
this
ones.
movie, a lot of
Yeah.
it reminds me of that movie. And I was like, where's Kenneth Branagh? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, let's kind of get into this film here then. Let's talk about your expectations and then just briefly like what you thought about the movie. How was the story to you? And kind of getting just real quick thoughts about the movie itself. I'm gonna go with James.
I had pretty high expectations because Guillermo del Toro has been one of my favorite directors the last couple of years too. He really brought me back on that last one. I remember we were talking about this. I think the last one he did was what's the one with the alley thing?
Man, I know which one you're
Nightmare
talking about.
Alley.
Bradley Cooper.
Nightmare
Nightmare
Alley.
Alley. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That was pretty good. I thought his Pinocchio movie was really good. Before that too, you know, we ran into I just rewatched Crimson Peak like a month or two ago. John, my brother, bought me that for once again 4K last Christmas. So I was like, you know what? Let me start watching these movies. And he just has a cool gothic style to his movies that I really liked. The story to me for this one, Mikey, if I was to describe it to anybody, it is like a classic retelling of Frankenstein, where a man becomes, you know, he gets so into his own head about, you know, like his own. It's almost like a father-son complex going on this whole movie. And I feel like it's like he creates his own creature, but then it's slowly like because he almost gets as judgmental as his own father was toward him, and slowly starts to realize like he doesn't see the humanity in what he's done, basically. While and then the flip side, the creature starts to learn more and more about himself, and you know just wants to live. It's kind of a beautiful little message there. Overall, as you can tell, I really enjoyed this movie.
Nice. Nabil, your thoughts?
I came in with the lowest of expectations. I was on the opposite side of this. I didn't really want to see this film, to be honest. We had a choice of a couple films, and I was leaning towards another one. And I was like, I don't know, I could wait till this to come out on Netflix. But I will say that I'm happy that I did not skip this film and was able to watch this in the theaters. This is way, way better than I thought it was going to be. The story was better, like because they focus a lot on Victor Frankenstein specifically, and I think Oscar Isaac's charisma really shines through over here, even though you're supposed to kind of not like him that much. Just the way that Guillermo del Toro told this story, he still really does, to like James' point about the gothic aspect of it, he really does lean into it in this film. And I wasn't sure if he was going to, because I don't know, I didn't feel like I wasn't sure what his vision was going to be for this film. I was like not really expecting much of it. I thought it was just he was doing it for the monster is what I thought it was going to be, like for the creature, because like Shape of Water. And so I was thinking he just really wants to show a lot of Frankenstein and or the creature, I should say. But in this case, I was pleasantly surprised by how he told the story and how we got the dynamic of father and son, like James said, and what was portrayed and where the story kind of ended. It was a way better experience. I'm kind of disappointed that Netflix isn't giving this a longer run in theaters, because I actually think this would be a solid one to keep in for the holidays. You know,
they're gonna do the Knives Out movie briefly coming up. That's why I know that like that's literally leading up to it, and that takes over for brief. But it's was it hard to find it in your area, Nabil?
There was only one theater. It was in a very sketchy part of my town that I'd never been to this theater. I didn't even know it existed, and I was concerned. But I will say, when I walked into it, the theater was actually not too bad. But
it's usually
everything
like
around it,
a lot of nice theaters sometimes are in like the sketchy areas.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I should be watching this. I really was trying to get away from doing it until everybody leaned into watching it, because I was like, I can't trust my safety here. But
Mikey and I originally had a theater kind of like that, and they actually had the 35 millimeter screening, which was
that's cool.
Would have been awesome, but then it wasn't like set seats, so we went with like a theater in Martinez actually that was playing it, so we got lucky because it still was actually, it had really nice seats at that one, at least reclining seats.
That's cool. Yeah.
So
the theater was pretty comfortable. I was surprised by the place itself, but the experience is good. The film was nice. The film going, I should say, is nice. And yeah, overall though, it far exceeded my expectations. I really enjoyed this film. It's definitely a film that my wife didn't get a chance to watch it, but I'm gonna have her watch this movie.
I'm glad we saw it in theaters compared to watching it at home too, by the way.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this was definitely a better theater watch than I was expecting. Just to kind of, I'm kind of in the middle of you guys. I like Guillermo del Toro. I like everything he's done, all the way up to like Cabinets of Curiosity on Netflix from beforehand. Like that's
That
smaller
wasn't a bad
stuff,
one.
but
It wasn't bad.
no, I
Wasn't
liked
bad.
it. Yeah, I've liked everything
Yeah.
he's done so far. So as far as like his aspect of stuff, I was excited about it. But it's also Netflix, and nothing against Netflix, but they're not really known for like their big epic movies, which I was hoping this would be. So I was kind of in the middle. I wasn't really expecting a lot, but I was excited to still see it. And I agree with you guys. I thought this movie was great. I really liked it. I was very shocked about like how emotional the movie is. There's a lot of like just smaller things. Like you don't think of a creature. You see him in the other movies. You kind of see him as kind of this maybe that doesn't have his own thought process, or it's just being a monster. And in this one, they really kind of come down to some feelings. It's almost a coming of age story a little bit for some of the aspects of things that are happening here. And then
See, you guys
also
gave it a chance now. Now you see what I see. See?
no, but it was really good. I was the gothic feel was. I kind of echo what you guys
Yeah,
said
the
here. It's
settings
just
are like
it's felt good. Yeah.
incredible. I was me and Mikey talked about it afterwards. Like, I know a lot of them are sets, but like, how do they do some of these sets, man, with that budget?
Well, I think that's where a lot of that budget went, because when you saw that number for $120 million, I'm like, they spent that money on production. It wasn't on like the acting or anything else. It was
They got big name
making you
actors too,
feel
though.
like you were. They did, but I think that this kind of film, especially working with Guillermo del Toro, people were there for him, and he put all that money into the production because it looks beautiful.
Yeah, shot.
Yeah,
really
he had
well,
to
too.
put a ton of it inside the just the sets, right? The sets are just crazy
yeah.
big.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that.
I mean, I heard
like
they built that ship. I heard they built it from scratch.
Oh, really?
Like I don't know how true that
That's
is, but
that's insane if
yeah.
they did. By the way, if that's an actual set, because that thing is like an actual boat. Honestly,
Yeah,
with
it's crazy,
room
right?
and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. I bring it up only setting wise because the I guess the I don't know, the building where he's doing the experiments at is on top of a mountain. Obviously, there's probably some CG involved in that, but there's a point where like the front of that mansion or whatever the heck it is like huge, right? And they go
Yeah.
around it actually at one point where they're showing you the
Mhm.
front column.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that column really there? Because if so, that thing's gigantic.
Yeah. Also, the room with like the big hole. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that
Yeah.
was nuts.
Dude,
I would have never thought to make something
what
like
a
that.
Guillermo del Toro thing, by the way. When I saw that, I said, yeah, that fits it. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense why you would have something like that, right? I'm like, oh, but it pours into the. Okay, I mean,
Mhm.
that's not safe. I was telling Mikey too after it reminded me a lot of the mansion from Crimson Peak,
Yes,
where
yes,
like it's
yes.
its own character in a way. Like a lot of the settings felt like that in this one. I thought it was incredibly well done, especially the way it was shot too, with the music and the use of silhouettes throughout the film, especially at that last shot. I thought
Mhm.
it was great. So
Well, let's get a little bit into the plot, kind of talk about that a little bit, and kind of just give an overall, just what this plot is it's basically kind of 3 chapters. The first one kind of lays the groundwork of Victor and his childhood and his relationship with his father. We have the second act kind of talking about how he's creating this monster, how it comes to be. And then there's basically a third act kind of talking about more so the creature side of things and how he's kind of developing and kind of talking about the coming of age, like I was talking about beforehand. That's kind of what that is here. So just kind of leave it to you guys here. We'll start with Nabil. What kind of worked for you? What do you think about the plot and what didn't work?
I liked how he broke this plot up. To be honest, I think that's what really sold me, is that it felt like it was a storybook, almost like I was reading the novel to some extent, because he had it set up. Yeah, he had it set up where you're. And what was nice is that the way that the story was being told, it wasn't like the same perspective of saying, Victor Frankenstein is talking about his part of the story, and then we go back and revisit the creature's perspective. They kind of continue off of each other, so it just moves forward, but then changes perspective as we move forward in the story, which I liked how that was doing, because it progresses things while also connecting you with the character. Still, you don't have to go and like have to have a second viewpoint of the same thing that happened again. So that I think was really good. I also liked the idea of the relationship that Victor had with his brother. Like, I wasn't sure it was going to be a play up at first. I thought it was just going to be a toss off that they do in the beginning, but it actually shows a lot about how that relationship is, what they think of each other, and then the kind of relationship that was brought in with Mia Goth, which is kind of, I think it's his fiance, his brother's fiance, Williams, being brought in as a kind of a dynamic, but her also still being her own person. She just wasn't just the woman or a love interest. Like she definitely had her own opinion on things and was doing her own thing and had her own motives, which I like how that played out too. So like how everybody's ending showed up, I like that. I liked how the relationships ended. Like it all seemed like it was the natural place for it to go based off of how they kind of interacted with each other from the get-go, and as you learn more about them, why it made more sense versus it feeling like, well, that's dumb, why did they do that? Like that shouldn't have happened to that person. So I really liked how he was playing with the characters, and put them on the screen to make you actually, even if you didn't like them, you cared about where they were going and what they brought to the story overall.
Yeah, you have anything to add, James? What are your thoughts about that, and what worked for you?
No, I agree mostly with all that. I thought it's overall it's a very tragic story, and they do a good job of like showing that and trying to balance out with the different perspectives from Victor to the creature. And I really enjoyed the plot points where like Nabil said earlier, like you technically aren't supposed to really like Victor too much, but you also see where he's coming from, and like because like his mother was like his practically as when he was a kid like his best friend, and the only one that really kind of understood him compared to his father, who was like much older and kind of very cold toward him. And I think that's why even like Mia Goth plays the mom too. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. She's also the mom.
Oh no, I didn't.
So that's also why it's like when he sees her, I think he also in his head is like, oh shit, that's like the one person I really love, and that's why he has that attraction to her. And I think it's really well done with how they do that. But it's kind of like an unrequited love, though, obviously,
right?
And very much like how his whole life kind of has been going, because he's so obsessed with his work and like getting that creature going, and then it really shows you how his change of how, like I said before, like he starts turning into his dad almost theoretically, like he's very like cold toward it, and he thinks it's stupid, and he doesn't really give it the time and love that it needs. And I thought that was a really good message too.
And I think he kind of changes a little bit as it progresses, because I don't think he was like that towards the beginning of the movie. It kind of progresses as he's like
no, definitely
kind
not.
of researching. So it was kind of interesting seeing the change that happened overall. And I know
I would
when
say,
I
Mikey,
first,
just something to interject on that. It's almost like he's his innocence is gone by then. That's why the more he's doing,
he's gone
the
too
more,
far, right? He's kind of
he's literally picking criminals out. Of like, oh, because he has good teeth. Like, yeah, this guy's body when he dies. It's pretty dark stuff.
Strong back. Let's get him.
Yeah. The other guy, he's like, you would have been dead in a year, unfortunately, because you have like gingivitis or something, right?
And I was talking to James after the movie, and I was saying that it felt kind of slow. But the more I think about the movie, I feel like that lets you kind of sit into how the characters were changing and the flow of the movie. Because as Nabil kind of mentioned, it kind of does flow well. Even though you're seeing two different perspectives, it's really kind of one storyline still. So it's really nice, and the slow pace, or it's not really a slow pace even. It's just, it lets you sit into each of the emotional things that are happening, each of the changes that are happening. And I thought it was really well put together, and just let everything kind of flow really well. So let's kind of get into some of these characters. We kind of talked a little bit about them. So Nabil, you mentioned something about Victor and how you liked Oscar Isaac and his portrayal of him. Did you want to kind of expand on that a little bit more here?
I mean, Oscar Isaac is just always so charming in the film. Every time I see him, I was like, I want to be his best friend. Like, please.
Yeah.
And
I'd like to.
And even in this, even in this film, as much as you're not kind of supposed to like him, at the same time, I'm also like, I'd still be like wanting to hang out with him. Like, involve me in your whole science thing. Let's see.
But were you the one that was with me when we saw Inside Llewyn Davis and we got to meet him?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy how big he's gotten since we saw him in a little theater in Berkeley?
Now.
Yeah, me and Nabil got to actually be part of him and one of the producers or the composers of Inside Llewyn Davis, a Colin film back when like Oscar Isaac was like somewhat kind of known, not really.
I think that was his first leading role, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was too, because he was just like, hey, but he was like, yeah, like what a change of events.
Mm-hmm. And he's still very, I mean, yes, looks different. But
very
older. Charismatic, very, I can't say that enough. But as a character, I will say, like, the whole film for me really, like, his character gets summed up in one line that he gives, or maybe a couple sentences. Right after the creature is created, he says, I spent all this time trying to, like, make this thing happen, but I never thought about what to do after it happened. Like, he just is like what do I do now? And so he's there trying to raise this essentially child to some extent and trying to do like that is who he was. Like he was so obsessed, like you were saying earlier, Mikey, so obsessed with trying to make this happen, doing everything and getting colder and colder just to see this come to fruition and all the events that led up to it up until the creature was born. And then he's like, what do I do? Like what is
It's
what is
almost
this? My
like
life's
that.
work is complete. Yeah.
It's almost like it shows you that, like, yeah, he's good at creating and like doing things, but outside of that, like anything that's like humanity wise, he's terrible at it, right?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
didn't even give it a thought. Like,
No.
what would I do with this? And so,
Like he literally chains him up, and he's like, oh, I'm like, dude, this is even for like, I think they show that as a viewer because even you as a viewer, like, that makes me feel a little weird,
right. Because this creature doesn't know any better and he trusts you. He could be a little dangerous, but also,
Yeah, he's incredibly strong. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, he could do something. But also, like, he looks to you as I don't know at the time he looks at him as a father, but definitely looks at him as like a friend because he doesn't know anybody else. Like, he doesn't know the world, and you train him up and leave him alone, and whatever. So I think that really tells the story of who Victor is because as soon he kind of thinks he can get anything he wants. He's smarter than everybody in the room. He knows things that just people don't seem to catch on to, and he's very confident. And as soon as his life's work comes to fruition, all that confidence is gone. He starts, like James was saying a little bit too, like he starts becoming his father, and everything kind of regresses backwards. And yes, he gets humbled a little bit, but I don't think like after an incident that does happen between him and the creature, he's supposed to come off as like, I've become a better man, but I don't think he really has. Like
I think he's lying to himself. I think he's lying to himself. Yeah.
Also, I think he did some of that stuff too because he doesn't know better. Like he's actually thinking that chaining him up is like protecting him from harming himself in some way, and then it kind of morphs into like I'm controlling him, right? So I don't think initially he was trying to be controlling and like powering over him or anything like that or influencing him. He was truly in the beginning at least trying to help him, and then he just doesn't know what to do, so he goes back to what he knows, and that's how his father treated him. So it's kind of a nice little take on it. It's like kind of
that's a good point.
Interesting. Well, what about the creature, James? Do you have any thoughts about him and his evolution across the movie?
I thought Jacob Elordi did really good, man. I didn't know how much we were gonna get of him in this, but he's like 6'7" in real life, right, or something, and he's just incredibly handsome, Nabil. So.
Yeah.
No, real talk. He was great. I mean, originally Andrew Garfield was in this movie. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but he had scheduling conflicts happen, so he had to back out of it. And honestly, I can't imagine him being in this role at this point. I thought Jacob Elordi did great. I think he's a great actor. There's a lot of like, especially we really get to know his character later on in the movie when he is left alone with that family in the forest, and he's actually kind of like the spirit of the forest, and he's helping them. Which is straight from the 1931 movie, by the way, which is awesome.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. So and then he gets to know the blind guy, and then the guy teaches him how to read. It's really nice. I thought that was a really sweet moment where he's like because the guy can't see what he looks like too. On top of that, but he never judges him. He just assumes he's probably kind of a slower guy or something that just doesn't know him. But he teaches him about that. He teaches him about the Bible and stuff like that, which is cool. And then. Honestly, really intimidating still. There are scenes in it, like in the beginning of the film, where looks like this hulking like monster, really, right? In the beginning, before you know about it, where they're shooting at him and he just keeps coming. It's like an unstoppable force. There was a lot more violence in this than I thought there would be, action-wise. Yeah. Like, there's a scene with him fighting wolves that I thought was absolutely insane. Because it was like, it went places I didn't think. I was like, oh my God, you know what I mean? But I thought it was cool, man. I thought he was great. He really added to it. I liked, you see that, he only says Victor in the beginning. Can't say anything else, but then when he starts learning how to speak, and you can really tell that he starts like grasping what he is, and there's a lot of emotion. He's even telling the blind guy at a point, he's like, I'm a monster. And the guy's like, you're not a monster. He's like, it's what you bring upon yourself, So I really like that.
So I wasn't sure if he was choosing to only say Victor or he could only say Victor. Because to me, I thought he was maybe only saying it on purpose because he knew Victor didn't like it.
Well, the way they're saying is like he says it because that word to him means everything.
Yeah.
That's what the whole point is. Like he's trying to tell him, like, and in retrospect, it goes back to that father-son dynamic where like he really truly loves Victor. Like he is his dad. he sees him as his creator and as his father. And by the end, we obviously get that moment between the two. I mean, he just wasn't patient enough with him because he does say Elizabeth, right? Because once again, she's very kind to him. She's a very nice person.
And talking about Elizabeth, we don't have to go specifically to her, but is there any other characters you guys like to talk about at all? Just leave it open for everybody.
Christoph Waltz was awesome, like normal.
Yeah. I mean, Christoph Waltz is pretty dope.
He was great. Yeah. I was just like, oh, yeah, I forgot. We love this guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's good in everything. I like him.
Yeah, he's just like, he's got his own meaning of why he's helping out. It's Elizabeth's uncle and kind of leads to a bunch of other things, but it's definitely one of those like, oh, he's kind of a sleaze too. So,
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like the money and greed or the influence of the government kind of character, right? Like, he's showing what potentially could be that kind of stuff, right?
And he does even tell at one point, like, yeah, the money's here, but we have to see results,
Yeah.
Because it sounds like he's
Can't keep
just
doing this.
yeah, but it just sounds like he's like, we're gonna put up these and this. I'm like, hey, how about you show me some results, dude?
Yeah. Well,
And then you-
I mean, and we learned that he also has his own.
He's got his own issues, yeah,
He's got his own
exactly.
motivations,
Which is why, actually, now I think about it, Nabil, is probably why
yeah.
he is in more of a rush. Because as soon as it's like even close, he's like, all right, cool, put me in that thing now. Like, damn, we
Right.
didn't even try it out yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt like I was like, oh man, I think you would want to see this workout first and then do this again.
Yeah, maybe see the prototype first.
Just
Yeah,
that.
good.
I know I brought up Elizabeth a little bit, Mia Goth, but I will just say, like, what I liked about her character is that she could have easily been played off as just a love interest and the two brothers fighting for each other. And that's
Mhm.
not where it was. Like James said, it was an unrequited love. Like, that's really what it was. She maybe wanted something, but was good enough to say no.
Bill's
know?
like,
Yeah.
why was she putting
Oscar?
herself out there? Why
Yeah.
are they dancing? Stop
Why
dancing.
they-
Back in the 1800s, can't be doing that.
Don't be giving your brother-in-law a butterfly. What's up with
Yeah,
that? That's
then you
not
give
all
it back to. Why'd you show up at this place by yourself? And then she's
Mhm.
like, I can't see you anymore. And then he was like, then you'll see no one.
That's right. So, but I really liked, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I really liked specifically the ending. I thought it was maybe a bit rushed considering how many interactions she's had with the creature, but just like how things went at the end between the three of them and her specifically, how it ended up, I was like, okay, this is very Guillermo del Toro, like poetic,
Yeah.
gothic love, and how
That's what I
know,
got
this
out of
is
it
gonna-
too.
Yeah, I was like, but it was good. It was good imagery. It was kind of
It's
very
like
poetic.
Most Guillermo del Toro movies, if you're nice, you don't make it to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I've noticed that recently. I'm like, I don't think he's going to make it at the end of this.
Well, I also thought just on Elizabeth real quick here is like I was actually going to say the same thing, Nabil. So I'm glad we kind of
Okay.
had the same thought
Mhm.
here. So, but I just want to touch on it as well. It's like I felt like Elizabeth is kind of like Victor, but without the daddy issues, right? She's kind of like she's curious on like the science of stuff and everything like that. She has that
Yeah, she does the
curiosity.
bugs and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's also human at the same time, where like Victor kind of loses humanity a little bit. So she's kind of like Victor, but the more human version of him. So I thought the contrast was kind of nice between the two.
I'm
Yeah.
glad they didn't do anything else with her character because in the 94 film, just so you know, like when she dies, something happens to her. And I'm like, that's doing too much now.
All right, so let's go ahead and do our ratings here so we can get to a little bit of the spoilers. There's not a huge amount of spoilers, I don't think, here, but we'll get into it and kind of talk a little bit more. So let's get a rating, and would you recommend watching this? And we'll start with Nabil.
Yeah, it's an excellent film. I gave this 4.5 stars. I would recommend watching this movie. I would love to say I would recommend you watching it in the theaters, but you got like a week. So by the time you hear this, it might not even be in the theaters anymore. But definitely catch it on Netflix.
It is opening to more theaters this coming week, though, by the way.
Very nice. Yeah, if you can catch it, then I'd say it's worth a watch.
James, your rating?
I actually gave it 4.5 stars as well. I think it's one of the top films of 2025 so far for me.
Mhm.
I think it has a great story to it. I think it's well acted. I think it's shot beautifully. It's one of the best looking movies I've seen all year too, just cinematography wise. Anybody that's even remotely into what the story's about, like I wouldn't say it's really even a horror movie per se. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
might think it's a horror film. I don't really think it is. It's just a movie that does feature a creature / monster, but I think it has a good overall message to it too. I'd say if you can, like Nabil said, check it out in theaters. It is limited, like I said though, but it will be open in more theaters this week. But if not, I mean, watch it on Netflix. Just put your phone away.
I will say it does have some horror elements. So do know there is some gruesome stuff in this movie.
Yeah, I guess.
So be careful with that stuff. If you're that kind of squeamish, you might want to
it's
close your eyes from
not
the
the worst.
spot. Yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah, I don't think it deters from the storyline though. I also gave this one 4.5 stars, so I definitely recommend this one as well. Like the guys were saying, the theaters if you can. I know it's kind of rough, but it's definitely, in my opinion, worth it. But definitely stream it if you have a Netflix account. There's no reason not to watch this movie. You have to watch it.
Oh yeah, come November 7th, this should be on top of your list if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, that's it for the normal review. If you don't want to be spoiled, then kind of skip ahead and see what we're doing in the next pod. But on to spoilers. So on to the ending here. Basically, the creature kind of finds Victor, and chaos kind of ensues, and he chases him down, and he tells him he wants a bride. And he kind of needs that companionship because he realizes basically that he is kind of on his own. He's kind of his own thing. He doesn't feel like he's part of, as James mentioned earlier, he, kind of met this blind guy and he kind of, connected with them, but he doesn't really feel like humans are kind of his thing. So what did you guys think about that? And you can expand on that if you want to as well, if you want to kind of talk about it a little bit more.
I'm glad that they didn't give him a bride. I was worried that's where we were going to go, is get me a goth. Essentially, and she becomes a bride, and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to see this." Like, this seems even more brutal to that character, but also to Victor being like, torturing himself to kill somebody to essentially make this happen. But it didn't happen, obviously, and I think that's great. I think I was kind of alluding a lot to how it ended. I think everybody's fate was very well deserved. Like with Mia Mia Goth's character trying to be kind and end up getting killed as collateral damage,
I guess.
Yeah. Collateral damage.
I was like, Victor knows he can heal though. I'm like, why is he even pointing at him?
Yeah, like I don't know what do you think the gun's gonna do.
Yeah, even the shotgun later. I'm like, I mean, he's like invincible, dude.
Yeah. And then like his brother dying, like everything that Victor started holding on to fell apart really quickly because he's got to live with his mistakes. And then I think that also just that very last scene, essentially with him talking to the creature and trying to get that forgiveness, obviously it was foreshadowing. Like we knew that was going to happen with that. But I think the way it was portrayed of not the creature forgiving him, but more Victor forgiving, like apologizing to the creature and also kind of trying to make amends for he knows he made mistakes.
He has some humility finally.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's it. He had humility. And I think there's a lot of ways that could have been portrayed. And I'm going to say this again because I like Oscar Isaac, but I think the way he delivered that was like, I felt like, okay, this, I believe that you really, it's not just because you're dying that you're asking for this, but like you truly are reflecting of everything that just happened. And you
think so.
You were seeking this from him. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a really good scene where, he calls him son.
Yeah. I think that was
That's when you know.
Super nice.
Like, I was like, my heart. I thought it was really sad though when the creature comes back and he realizes those wolves killed the blind guy.
Yeah.
That was sad as hell, man.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, he like makes sure those wolves never come back move though. I was like, I don't think they're coming back to that house because that was some King Kong versus T-Rex kind of shit at one point. So
like 3 of them don't have jaws anymore. That's
what I mean. He was he was ripping jaws out of when I'm like, oh my God. But it was not, the guy still is somewhat even alive though, and that's when he's telling him, he's like, you're a good person and stuff like that. I was like, ugh, But
I never thought I would be emotionally invested in a Frankenstein movie. Like honestly, they did a great job with like it. Just that like Nabil was just saying, like he's talking to Victor Frankenstein, like, hey, you're my dad, and like he's saying, hey, you're my son, and they're like forgiving, having like deep thoughts. I never thought I would get something like that with this kind of movie. They did a great job, like kind of wrapping it up. Every storyline seems to kind of be finalized. So if this was a standalone movie, they don't ever make a Bride of Frankenstein later on when he finds another Victor, right? Something like that. Right.
Yeah,
it's good the way it is. You don't need anything more because everything is kind of wrapped up.
Yeah, but this is more closer to the novel, I'm assuming.
No, it's set in the 40s, maybe the early 50s. It's called The Bride, and it has Christian Bale now playing Frankenstein. Just saying.
Yeah. You know what? I really like the cinematography at the end. Like this is where that silhouette of him like showing, and then the sun's coming up, and then it's kind of like it's reminiscent of like when he first woke up and he put his arms out because when Victor's like, "This is how you do it," when the sun comes out, and like bask in like God's glory. I thought that was really nice because then he really feels free finally, and he's doing it himself. But it's also what Victor showed him how to do. You know, he's putting his hands out.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really nice. And I really like the scene too, even where Elizabeth is dying and he carries her through the building, and then all the flowers are still falling down. I thought that was beautifully shot, by the way. So
I think this whole movie is really just.
I'd be hard pressed if this doesn't win best cinematography. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, but there's like a wide varied of like angles and stuff that's used. Like there's big sweeping shots with like the silhouette, like you're saying, outside. It's like the forest. And
Such
shit.
a shot, man. But, even seeing that, I was like, what a shot. Yeah. And
then when he's by himself with the blind guy, like before he actually goes in and meets him, like he's like listening in on them. He's like in like a, I don't know, like a mill or something like that. And there's like really close up shots of his face and stuff. And it's like really emotional and stuff. So they had a nice mixture of just everything, and just everything was just well done.
I really appreciate that Guillermo del Toro, through his years, he's become more like hard set on having his vision seen on screen. So it's no longer just like trying to make a movie for the sake of a film. Like he would just have a stamp on it. But every film, essentially since Hellboy, he's really been able to like make his mark in a way where you can just see all the layers of input that he's putting into, and that, you know, this is what his vision was. And this film, I think, really kind of culminates that a lot, where like we were talking about all these different shots, but also the music, just the dialogue on this, because he also wrote this film, and seeing how this was all just put together in a way where it's very much his style. If it was some other director, like even if it was like Tim Burton or something doing kind of this, like it would not have the same like charisma Guillermo del Toro brings to these kind of characters. You know, it's definitely his film, and it's from start to finish. You can he's got
a vision, and he's got a style, which is good, nice to see. Because I mean, we talked about it before, like our other film we watched was Shelby Oaks, which, you know, we have our goods and bads on that too. But that, I think that movie itself even lacks a vision, like a director's kind of like signature sign off on it. If you think about it, like, you know, Jordan Peele has a kind of style to him. Guillermo del Toro definitely does, but I think that's one of the weaknesses of Shelby Oak, was that it didn't have that extra oomph that this movie has, especially. Obviously, way different perspectives or, years of experience between, but
also
I appreciate that too. Budget was, also 120% higher than the other one, right? Yeah. But hey.
Anything else you guys want to say? Yeah.
See Frankenstein.
Yeah,
watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it
in the theaters.
All right, that wraps up episode 210 of the Movie Pals podcast. Mikey, let everyone know how they can keep up with us.
You can find us on every major podcast platform. So follow and listen wherever you'd like. For links to our socials and more, head over to linktree/moviepalspod. That's linktr.ee/moviepalspod. And don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode in this Gothic castle or the next.
And coming up on our next pod, episode 211, where we will be continuing our favorite films of the century with movies from 2005 to 2009, as well as review of Predator Badland.
Thank you for listening. This is the Movie Pals signing out.